We've gone from front to back, side to side with this pronated position. The ellipse, forward, side to side, both directions. We're now going to work from corner to corner. Scott's going to show us working from this foot to that far hand. An ellipse along the diagonal of the box. That's one direction, the other direction. Okay. That's one diagonal. Now the other diagonal, working from this arm to the far leg. One direction, and then the other direction. Okay. You should feel nice and buoyant while you're doing this, not straining and stressing. Screw your legs out, rotate your arms in, so that your body is resting on its structure, not being supported by muscles. We're now going to work from a supine position or face up. Scott's going to get into a basic crab position, but notice that his hands aren't pointing out, they're pointing down at 45-degree angles from his body. He's going to work an ellipse here, lifting the pelvis up, placing it down. This takes a little coordination, but start to begin to explore this range of motion, lifting the pelvis up and back. Okay. We're going to continue working on incorporating all of our joints into every movement, recruiting joints upon joints. We're going to do this by starting with our arms here. One palm out, one palm back. And then we're going to switch them and back and forth. This is going to be our basic movement here to begin with. Once we get this down, as this palm turns out, we're going to start to push it out. Here, and then back. Back and forth. So that our arm is not pushing out in a two-dimensional, with a two-dimensional hinge, but screwing out in 3 dimensions, pushing and rotating out here. So from here, pushing out, back and forth. We're now going to take this onto the ground. I've asked Scott to come out and help demonstrate. He's first going to start with his forearms out in front of him, one palm up, one palm down. He's then going to simply switch back and forth, slightly transferring his weight from one arm to the other arm, and back and forth. Start at this pace, just back and forth. You don't want to put too much weight on your arms. Get the movement down, back and forth. Okay. Now Scott's going to lower his torso down onto his forearms, and he's going to continue back and forth so that his weight is resting on his arms. If you're doing this and you feel a lot of tension, a lot of usage of the triceps, shoulders, you're doing it wrong. Allow the weight of your body to be carried by the structure of your arm, not by the muscles in your arm. Rely on the structure of your body to support you, not your muscles. Okay. Now Scott's going to keep doing this. Notice his elbow is coming up off the ground. His torso is now perpendicular to the ground. Back and forth. Work on this so that you're comfortable in this position. Back and forth. Torso, perpendicular, parallel, perpendicular. Back and forth, back and forth. Okay. Now, once you feel comfortable with that, back and forth, make sure that your torso is perpendicular, parallel, perpendicular. Once you feel comfortable with that, we're going to move the body in an arc, up, over, back, over, back. These are not push-ups. Do not attempt to do these as push-ups. Make sure that each time you're coming down, your body is landing in a perpendicular fashion. Don't parallel. Scott's back is parallel now, but to begin, he's going to roll his body so that he is perpendicular, and back. Back and forth. Perpendicular. Okay. Notice he's coming up just slightly. Okay. Now, we're going to lift the body up so that we're starting on the ground perpendicular, coming up parallel, coming down perpendicular. To do this, Scott's going to first plant his toes into the ground. Start perpendicular, screw his bottom arm out. He's going to screw his arm out so that he is now up in this position. His back is straight and coming back down. Again, coming down perpendicular, not straight up and down. He's going to go back and forth, up. Notice the rotation on his arm. He's not simply pressing his arm out. He's rotating his arm back, collapsing his arm in. Not push-ups, screwing the arm out, screwing the arm in as he's coming down. Transferring his weight from one side to the other. Now, as you become more and more comfortable with these, you'll begin to feel a nice smooth wave from one arm to the other. We've already worked on waves. We worked on waves from one leg to the other, transferring our weight. This is a similar exercise. Starting with one arm, screwing out, transferring the weight up, and back over to the other side. Again, not push-ups. Don't work this two-dimensionally. 3 dimensions. Rotate your arm out as you're pressing up. Here, not push-ups. Screwing the arm out. We've broken down the motion. Now we're just going to show you what it looks like in a fluid state. And stop. Now we're going to start exploring where we are in our environment. Our environment could be anything. It could be carpeted floor, cement floor, a sidewalk, our office building, whatever. We're going to start this by exploring the articulations of the spine again. Scott's going to demonstrate the spinal wave that we worked on earlier, bringing the pelvis up so that the solar plexus is being pulled straight out and down. Okay. We've already worked on that, so you should be quite familiar with that motion. Scott's now going to sit up, grab his knees, and simply rock back and forth, keeping a nice curved spine as he does this. What you don't want to do is roll right along the vertebra. You don't want to roll hard surface onto a hard surface. Even if you're on a mat, you don't want to roll right along the spine. There are 2 huge muscles that run right up the left and the right side of the spine called the erector muscles. They're the muscles that keep us standing up straight. We'll get more into those muscles and how we work with them later in polygenia. But for now, you want to roll along that soft tissue. Muscle is a nice soft tissue. You want to roll along the soft tissue so you're not rolling straight center, just slightly to the side. You can go up one side of the erectors, down the other side. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is expand this articulation in the spine so that we are rolling straight up in a wave, rolling straight down in a wave-like pattern. Scott's going to start, again, just rolling back and forth, holding onto his knees, back and forth. Now, when he gets right up to this, go ahead, to this position here at the top, he wants to release this potential energy here. So what he's going to do is he's going to push his shoulders straight down into the ground, shrugging his shoulders, and he's going to let his knees not go up, but go out. He's going to let go with his hands and start to bring his knees back and straight back out. So that as he's doing this, the pelvis is being pulled this way. Knees are going one way, pelvis is going the other. This is going to give us a straight vertical lift. And he's going to start to expand this so that his feet are coming higher and higher until he is virtually perpendicular to the ground. Feet coming straight up, shoulders pushing straight down. To get his feet up, he wants to press his shoulders into the ground. This is also going to help protect your neck from being smashed by the weight of your body into the ground. You want to push your shoulders down to force your feet up in the air. Okay. That's bringing our feet straight up. Now we're going to change that just a little bit. Instead of bringing our feet straight up, we're going to bring them straight back. Scott this time is going to hold on to his knees as he does this. He's going to start with just bringing his feet out at 45-degree angles here. His feet come back and out. He's still bringing his spine straight up in the air. Pelvis is rolling straight back, but the feet are going out at 45-degree angles. Okay. So we have two positions when we release this potential energy. We have the feet straight up and the feet out at 45-degree angles. What I want you to first work on is just becoming familiar with that. Remember to breathe. Scott's going to show us again, changing up between the two different positions, feet straight up and out at 45-degree angles. He's going to breathe as his body rolls back. As he releases this kinetic energy, the body is compressing. Chest is compressing, so the air has to be forced out. He's also not allowing his spine to simply convolute in any way that it wants to. He's keeping his spine straight up and down, keeping his posture as he's doing this. Breathing, posture, and movement all in one. Okay. Now, you see the position he ended in. As he begins to pick up speed, there's going to be more and more potential energy here that he wants to release in a nice, easy motion. We want to end each large motion in a smaller motion. To do this, we're going to use a wave. Scott's going to demonstrate this first by keeping his feet straight out. He's going to start with his shoulder, end with the fingertips, a wave straight out. Okay. This is the way we want to release the energy. Now, as you're doing this, if you feel any pulling in the hamstrings, the lower back, go slower. This is not a stretch. This is an exploration of range of movement as well as an exploration of joint coordination. Scott's now going to show us the full spinal rock. He's going to go back, legs up, legs out, and finish in a wave. Up. Each time he releases this potential energy, he's breathing out. Breathing out, breathing out, breathing out, breathing out. Okay. Now, we're going to change up the position of the legs just so we begin to explore different ranges of motion. Instead of keeping the legs straight out, Scott's going to tuck one in so it's similar to a hurdler stretch. But again, this is not a stretch. This is an exploration of our range of movement. So as he goes up, the legs are still going to be straight up in the air. He's simply going to tuck one leg in as he comes down. Now remember, you can either have the legs straight up in the air or out at 45-degree angles, so that we have a 90-degree right angle here with the legs. Now Scott's going to show us this motion with this, and he's going to end in a wave each time he comes down. Remember, if you feel any stretching, go a little slower. You don't want to pull any muscles or injure yourself in any way. Make sure that you're exploring the range of motion, not trying to stretch out any muscles back and forth. And you'll notice that as you go through this, as you explore the range of motion will become greater and greater. It's not working on flexibility, it's working on plasticity of the body. We'll get more into that later.